I think people will really want to know about this. How important is the direction the cottage is facing to you?
When we talk about its exposure, you're usually talking about the shoreline exposure. Ours is north-northwest. The beauty behind it is with our dock, you can sit on the dock and you have amazing sunrise and an amazing sunset.
Welcome to the Real Estate Podcast. It's episode number 350, and we're talking about cottages in this one. Everything you need to know, and I'm interviewing Ariel about his cottage experience, so definitely check this one out.
Welcome to the Real Estate Podcast, your go-to source for raw, unfiltered stories and expert tips. Whether you're a buyer, seller, tenant, landlord, or realtor, join us as we dive into the world of real estate.
And do another podcast about it. Anyways, Sherry, you're back again.
I like being here.
Back-to-back weeks. Yeah. So in the last episode, Sherry and I gave our top 3 real estate investment opinions and our top 3 stock investment opinions. We're going to circle back to one of my top 3 real estate investment opinions, which was waterfront cottages. And the reason we're talking about that today is because you are working with a friend of yours that hired you to help them buy a waterfront cottage. So I wanted your experience with that. And funny enough, in the last month to maybe 2 months, I've had 2 or 3 inquiries from past clients asking if we serve that market, the Muskoka and Kawartha areas specifically. And if we don't, do we have a realtor that we can refer out? So I've got 3 clients right now that messaged me over that period of time that are considering to purchase waterfront. One of them is not necessarily waterfront. They just want a place to go. But so obviously the interest...
It's there. It's coming back.
The interest is coming back. The interest was at a super high level during COVID.
Oh, yeah.
When nobody could go anywhere. Everybody wanted... The dream was to have a waterfront cottage. And now with the tariffs and everything that's going on in the U.S., I think a lot of people are divesting from their properties in Florida or the Carolinas, wherever they had real estate in the US. A lot of them are selling them or not visiting and looking at cottage options. So there's still a good amount of inventory in the cottage market. It's still a buyer's market, but I believe that that's going, and it already has started a little bit. It's going to shift.
Yep.
So, all right. So let's just have a quick chat, Sherry.
Yep.
You're helping, we won't mention specifics, but you're helping a friend.
Yep.
Purchase a cottage. How's that going?
Good. So like you said, it was a buddy of mine who he's been looking for a while now, for a year or 2, and he's very specific. So he finally found one that he wanted to go out and look at. And these things are far, right? These things are 3.5 hours out from the GTA. So you can't just go for an evening stroll and end up at a cottage one night for a showing. So we went out, we looked at this one, and it was an amazing view. When we got there, like you got like the the stained glass with the lake behind it. And what a lot of people don't realize that it's not literally just a property on the water. There's so many things you have to consider. You want to consider how deep the water is when you're walking into it. Is it murky? You want to consider how old the actual structure is. There's so many different considerations.
It's very different than buying a normal residential property.
Yeah, like where's your water? Sorry, there's something in my throat today. Like where's your water coming from for the property? It's coming out of the lake. Is that clean? Can you drink it? What can you do with it? And that's water is a necessity, right? So even things like that are super important to look at.
Well, the water source is a big component to a cottage for sure. And even if it has a well, is it a dug well that's been there for the past 30 years? Is it a drilled well? How far down does it go?
Yep.
How far is the well set back from the septic bed? Are there any obstructions to that? How is the water fed from the well into the structure? And does it need any heat lines if you're going to be using it in the winter? Things like that are.
So that's a major point you just made there too. Is it a 4-season cottage, or in Canada, the ones that are seasonal are usually 3-season cottages because they can't withstand or you can't live there for the winter. They can withstand it, but it wouldn't be possible there given the insulation and things like that for the cottage too. And all of these factors impact the price. So when you're going in with an offer, you don't want to be paying 4-season cottage prices for a 3-season cottage and make that mistake, which is a really easy mistake to make. So it's been an incredible opportunity, a lot of learnings for me. And now when I book the next Airbnb for a cottage, I'm going to have questions for the host that I never would have had before, right? Like, hey, can I actually drink that water? Or is that line insulated if I'm going in the winter? All these sorts of things. And yeah, that's why I think this episode is going to be super cool for people even booking Airbnbs, right?
Well, I think that the fascination I have with waterfront properties specifically is that they're all so very different. Yeah. And when you and I had a chat a few weeks ago, when you were asking me questions about my cottage, it's unreal the difference between what you see in the listing to how the property actually presents in person. When you're buying or selling a average townhome in the GTA, let's say, you can pretty well get a good sense of the property online now. Mm-hmm. Through photos, through video, through 3D tours, especially like an iGuide or a Matterport tour where you can put yourself anywhere in the house and walk around. Mm-hmm. In a cottage, it's very, very different, and it can be very deceiving. You could have a 100-step climb to your car and there be no photo of it and can totally deceive you, right?
Yep.
The waterfront, depending on what time of the year the photos are taken, can look very different in the spring versus in the summer versus in the fall. You can mask the way the waterfront presents itself. So you talked about it being murky. Yeah, well, are there bulrushes? Are there weeds? Are there lily pads everywhere? So all of those things are variables that have to be taken into consideration.
Yep. And you can't see the bottom of a lake in photos, right? Like you have no idea what's going on in that lake.
It depends how clear the lake is, Sherry.
That's true. So if you're lucky like you and you have a really nice cottage on, a great piece of water or a great lake, it's a great advantage to have. And researching the lake is super important because like I said, it's most of the time it's hard to see in pictures what kind of lake that property is abutting.
Well, and that ties into, you mentioned Airbnb. A lot of cottage owners rent them out, right? So when they're not using it, or even when they want to use it, but to help pay for the expenses, because it's expensive. You still have your mortgage, you still have your insurance, you have your maintenance, your repairs, your utilities. And every year, especially if it's waterfront, every year something always goes wrong. Mm-hmm. It's inevitable. You're that close to the water. You are more susceptible to harsh winters where, like, I can remember this past winter, there was a period of time, there was over 3 feet of snow on my deck. So can you imagine the weight of having that snow sit on your wooden deck and then all of it melting? Well, the wood deteriorates much differently when it's impacted that much. And then in the summer, the sun is just beaming on it, right?
Yeah.
So it goes through a lot more climate effects than an average residential home.
For sure. Just like you said, the elements and being that close to a lake, it's even when you mentioned the snow, like when that's melting and the tide is higher, and if there's no dam on the lake, that really comes up to your property too, all that water. And I think you mentioned if there's like a slope behind you where that area is higher, all that water is going to run down and melt by the cottage, right?
Yep.
So these are things you don't really have to worry about when it comes to regular residential real estate that you have to worry about with the cottage.
Have you rented cottages before?
I rented one.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And obviously I was only there for 2 or 3 days.
Mm-hmm.
But I never really thought about these things until now because I'm not the actual owner, right? But I'm sure the owner.
How long ago was it?
It was like a year ago.
And what kind of cottage was it?
It was actually out in Sudbury.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And it wasn't a waterfront. So that one wasn't really exposed to the elements as much, but still you can see things were a little run down. You can see, wind damage, like all those kind of different things because you're out there.
So my tip for people that are considering to purchase a cottage, and our clients, yours and mine, all are considering renting out the property. So some of the most important things, if you are going to be renting it out, how many people can it sleep? And what is the configuration of the sleeping arrangements, right? So sometimes it says sleeps 12, but you have like 6 beds in one room kind of thing.
Yeah.
Or you got 2 pull-out couches and they just happen to be in the middle of the living room.
Or you got a bunkie, right?
Yeah.
It's like it's outside of the main property.
Yeah. And then
6.
Yeah. And then is there a washroom that provides accommodation for the bunkie? All of those things are considerations. But what I feel that a lot of renters look for is flat usable land. So can throw a frisbee around, throw a ball around, have the dogs run around. So that's obviously important to think about. And then the usability of the water. So can we swim in it? If we can, what type of swimming, right? Or do we have to jump off the dock into deep water? Can we walk into the water in a shallow area and the kids can sit and play in the sand? Do we have to actually boat from the dock to go somewhere else to swim? Because there are a lot of properties like that.
Yep.
So, and then, you talk about fishing as an example. Do you want to offer fishing at the cottage? Do you want to fish at the cottage? All of those things play a huge factor. What else have you learned in your cottage showing experience?
Yeah, for sure. So there's this thing called the shore road allowance, which is the 20 feet, I think 20 feet or 20 meters that are right at the edge of the cottage where it hits the water. Usually it's owned by the municipality, but sometimes people go out and buy it themselves as well. And they own kind of that piece. So that's also something super important because it does cost 20 to 30K to buy that out from most municipalities. And most people don't do it.
Depends where it is.
Yeah, depends where it is.
I don't own mine and it's about 7,500 to 9,000.
Okay. Yeah, so I found most people don't own it and it never really gets in the way of enjoying the property. So if you are out there looking for cottages, if you find out it's not owned, it's not the end of the day.
Where it's important, though, is if they plan on making any additions to the property, they want to build anything, expand on anything, it does determine then your setbacks on your property. So it can make an effect if you are changing anything.
That makes sense. Yep.
Yeah. And do you have any questions that you wanted to ask me?
I do.
Yeah.
You mentioned having to take a boat out to the center of the lake or whatever to swim. Do you have a boat on your cottage?
We have a boat that we don't use. It's a small fishing boat. It's an aluminum fishing boat. I have a 6 horsepower and a 10 horsepower outboard motor. And I haven't put the boat in the lake for the past 5 years, I think. I don't know why, really. We don't use the cottage a whole lot. When I'm up there, I often am working from there. There's a lot of work to be done at the cottage, upkeep, maintenance, gardening, lawn, painting, staining. There's always something to do. And when I'm not doing all of that, I just like sitting at the end of our dock. We're blessed with a 75-foot long dock with a nice patio at the end. You can fish off of it. You can go swimming and all of that stuff. And all of my neighbors have a boat. So if I really want to get out on the water, they're more than happy to take us out for a spin. Maybe later this year, I'll put the boat back in just because. But I have thought about buying a boat because all my neighbors have one and I'm the one without it.
Yeah.
And our lake is a good size. And you can certainly have lots of fun. Maybe when our kids get older and they want to go tubing, water skiing, that kind of stuff, maybe the opinion will change. But, I've owned a boat before. And here's the thing about boats. They add to your maintenance list. They add to your repair list. They add to your cost. It's not so much the cost of buying a boat. You can buy a boat now, a used boat, keep it for 4 or 5 years and probably sell it for very close to what you paid for it. Because once they depreciate to a point, they don't keep depreciating to nothing unless they get super old.
Yeah.
But insurance, maintenance, gas,
Storing
repairs,
it. Yeah.
storing. Well, if you have the property situated the right way, you can probably store it right at your cottage. So like for us, we have about an acre of land that we don't use. It'd be easy to pop the boat back there, but then it has to be winterized and covered against all the elements, certainly the snow and all that. So it's an expense. And I don't want that added expense because it's not cheap. It's also a pain in the butt, if you're not there, you got to make sure that it's protected, again, against the elements, against the rain, against the waves, those kind of things. So, not in my future.
There's also rules as to where you can launch the boat when you have a cottage, right? Like off the dock. Sometimes it's not deep enough to launch it from the dock, so you got to kind of take it out, closer to the center of the lake and then launch it there.
Well, I'd highly recommend that anybody buying a cottage on a waterfront find a lake that has a proper boat launch. Doesn't need a marina.
Yeah.
But a proper boat launch comes in handy so you don't have to worry about launching it on your own property because most cottages, you won't have the ability to launch it right at the cottage.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. And then it depends on the size of the boat too, right?
Yeah. Okay. So moving on to like a different line of questions, because I think people will really want to know about this. How important is the direction the cottage is facing to you?
For me, it all depends on how you're using the property and what your intentions are. There's a saying in the cottage industry, west is best. I don't neither agree nor disagree. Ours, and when we talk about its exposure, you're usually talking about the shoreline exposure. So when you're standing at your shoreline, what direction are you facing? Ours is north-northwest, so more north than anything. The beauty behind it is with our dock, you can sit on the dock and you have amazing sunrise and an amazing sunset. If you're just facing west, then you're probably losing the sunrise. If you're just facing east, you're definitely losing the sunset.
Yeah.
And that does impact the resaleability and the price. So it depends what you want. Some people are early risers. They don't care about the sunset. Some people absolutely want to have the sunset and roast marshmallows over the fire watching the sun go down. So that depends on personal preference. But generally speaking, for a waterfront, you want north or west or northwest, something along those lines.
Yep, I agree. I'd at least want the sunset. It doesn't got to be directly in front of me, but at least, you know, in my view, and then I get the whole sunset, you know, sitting by the dock would be amazing to me, and that would be cottage living to me. So,
well, and it also extends your day, right? Your usability during the summer.
Yep.
Because if you're facing east, your property isn't getting any daylight anymore much earlier in the day.
Yep. Okay.
If you're facing west and you get the sun going down right to the horizon line, now your evening is stretched out considerably longer.
Yep. That's a really good point. Okay. So you talked a lot about maintenance, the expense with the cottages. So give me a couple of reasons why someone might not want to buy a cottage. Like, barring the fact that they can't afford it or anything like that. Say they can afford it, say they're thinking about it, but why are they not ready to buy a cottage yet?
If they don't fully understand the financial burden.
Mm-hmm.
And if they don't fully understand that it's a pain in the ass. Those are the two things. It's going to cost you time.
Yep.
And it's going to cost you money. And why is it a pain in the ass? You have a lot of unexpected repairs, a lot of unexpected expenses. If you're renting it out, you're going to have tenants or renters, I should say, that flush things down the toilet that shouldn't have gone down there.
Mm-hmm.
They're putting things down your drain in the sinks that shouldn't be going down there. Like, you know, I can easily see renters making a beautiful big breakfast for everybody in the morning, you know, and that includes something greasy. And where do you think 90% of those renters are going to end up putting the grease?
Down the drain.
Down the drain. And where do you think that's going? Right into your septic system. And what do you think that's going to do to your septic system? So all of those things become a pain in the ass. The driving distance. So our cottage is 3 hours away. So if I want to go up, it's not just, go up, check up on things and come home.
Yep. It's a full day trip.
And I don't do it in one day anymore. I have to be there for a night or two to make it, you know,
worth it. Right?
Worth it, because it's a long drive. And if you're taking the 407, you have that cost. You have your fuel cost. You now have extra wear and tear on your vehicle. So it costs money to go there and back. Usually I budget for about $150 a trip. So that's what it costs me to go to my own cottage.
Yeah.
$150 every time.
Throwing $50, you can get an Airbnb, right?
Well, that's the thing. So, you know, you've got rodents, a lot of wildlife, bugs, all of those things. So you got to be prepared for that. The financial side of things, it's much harder to find contractors. If you do, they are pricey.
Yeah.
So if you want work done, whatever it is, you need plumbing, electrical, you need some gardening, some, you know, paint work, things like that. They're harder to find. They're harder to find reputable people that are priced reasonably.
Mm-hmm.
And like I said earlier, cottages always need something.
Yep. Okay. Well, now I know all the reasons you shouldn't buy one, but tell me what makes it all worth it at the end of the day.
When you're there enjoying it, it gives you that opportunity to unwind like nowhere else, right?
Mm-hmm.
So, you know, like that feeling when you go on vacation somewhere and you just ultimately completely relax.
Yep.
You do have those moments definitely at the cottage. So I was there last week. I was working from there last week. I didn't have an opportunity really to do anything except maintenance on the cottage So I replaced some receptacles. I did some staining. I replaced some wood siding. Did a little bit of gardening and replaced some mulch. Quite a bit of small tasks, but they all had to be done.
And you do all these yourself?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, I've become quite handy because of the cottage. I've learned a lot.
Hey, that's all that matters. Yeah.
But there was a moment on Friday where it was a beautiful day, and I said, screw it. And I shut off my laptop, shut off my phone. I grabbed a cold beverage. I headed to the dock, and I didn't move for about 2 hours. I just laid under the sun. I hopped in the water to go for a nice swim. There's that amazing smell of the Ontario lakes that just, and the air, right? Like you leave Milton, you drive up there, the air is different, and you come back a little bit rejuvenated. So it gives you a quick way to rejuvenate. Ultimately, I think it's an amazing investment because they're not building any more water, right? Like there's no lakes being built. So there's only there's not an infinite number of opportunities. So if you find the right place, it can be an excellent investment option. And, you know, at the end of the day, it's when it's amazing how many friends you have when you have a cottage.
Yeah. Right.
Right. There's always somebody willing to join you when you say, hey, I'm going up to the cottage.
Yeah. Yeah.
I guarantee you, if I polled our staff today and said, hey, I'm going up to the cottage, anybody want to come up? Guaranteed somebody would want to come.
Mm-hmm.
Same thing with friends and family. So it gives you that opportunity to be social, reconnect with people, connect with new people.
Yep.
Same thing with pool homes.
That's what I was going to say. So it sounds like it's like having a pool that's a lake,
right,
and 3 hours away.
Yeah.
So you can
except you can't put a boat in your pool.
Yeah.
And
exactly.
And you still don't get that fresh air.
Yeah, and that's I think that all makes it worth it. Like sitting there for those 2 hours literally made all that work you just did worth it because you're not getting that anywhere in the city, anywhere else. Right.
I can tell you oftentimes when I drive up, the first thing I do is I change into my swim trunks and I run right into the lake. And it's kind of like, you know, the cold dips.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. Sometimes like Adrian and I have gone into the lake up there in October. And it's a cold dip in October. Anyways, I got to get going, Sherry. Good little chat on cottages. I think the cottage market is going to heat up. If anybody is interested in buying a cottage, renting a cottage, you have some questions, Sherry and I are happy to talk to you about them. If we can't assist, we do have connections in the areas that you might be looking in that can assist you. But yeah, we wanted to talk about it because that's new. Sherry's project this week is to help his friend buy a cottage. So good luck.
Always something interesting in real estate.
There you go.
Yep.
All right.
Great.
Thanks. Bye.
Thank you so much for listening. I hope you got some insight into cottages and subscribe and follow us for more content like this.